By birth, I don't have an option about the kind of woman that I want to be. I'm the first daughter of my parents, so right out of the womb, I'm a born leader, and so that's kind of at the top of my mind in any decision that I'm making. On a bigger picture, I want to be a politician. Like you mentioned, I'm from Anambra State, I'm from Anambra Central, and I'm very interested in politics. I'm very interested in impacting my state and Nigeria in general. And I moved to London at the end of my National Youth Service program, you know, like everyone does, just jackpot, trying to make some money. And I just felt very unfulfilled. I was making more money than I ever would in Nigeria, but I just felt very unfulfilled. So the kind of woman I want to be is definitely having positive impact in Nigeria. She's definitely taking up space. She's definitely not just talking about increasing female participation in politics. She's actually doing something to make that happen. And she's graceful, she's feminine, she's gorgeous, and she's fashionable.
That day this morning. Well, good morning to you, viewers. We're beginning What's Trending on a sad note. Today, the Arise News family mourns the tragic loss of our beloved colleague, news anchor, reporter, and producer, Somtochukwu Christelle Maduagwu, affectionately known as Somi, was taken away from us far too soon at the age of 29.
Hello to our viewers in the US and around the world. I am Somi Maduagwu.
Born on September 26, 1995, Somi tragically passed away in the early hours of Monday, September 29, 2025, following an armed robbery incident at her residence in Katankwe area of Abuja. The Nigerian police are currently investigating this heartbreaking crime. Somi was not just a cherished member of the Arise family. She was a vibrant voice that engaged and connected with viewers across the nation. Her presence on our screens brought warmth, professionalism, and authenticity that resonated with audiences. But beyond the airways, beyond the cameras, and the studio lights, Somi was a trained lawyer, a dedicated professional, a supportive colleague, and a beauty queen. In September 2023, Somi represented Nigeria at the 40th Miss Tourism World in China. Ahead of the pageant, she spoke exclusively with Arise News about her aspiration to become a politician.
By birth, I don't have an option about the kind of woman that I want to be. I'm the first daughter of my parents, so right out of the womb, I'm a born leader, and so that's kind of at the top of my mind in any decision that I'm making. On a bigger picture, I want to be a politician. Like you mentioned, I'm from Anambra State, I'm from Anambra Central, and I'm very interested in politics. I'm very interested in impacting my state and Nigeria in general. And I moved to London at the end of my National Youth Service program, you know, like everyone does, just jackpot, trying to make some money. And I just felt very unfulfilled. I was making more money than I ever would in Nigeria, but I just felt very unfulfilled. So the kind of woman I want to be is definitely having positive impact in Nigeria. She's definitely taking up space. She's definitely not just talking about increasing female participation in politics. She's actually doing something to make that happen. And she's graceful, she's feminine, she's gorgeous, and she's fashionable.
What a beautiful soul. At just 29 years old, Somi had already made an indelible mark impacting society, but she had so much more to give. So much more stories to tell, and so many more lives to touch. Today, we extend our deepest condolences to Somi's parents, siblings, extended family, friends, and loved ones during this incredibly difficult time. Her voice may now be silent, but her spirit, passion, and legacy will endure as part of our collective memory here at Arise News. We remain in shock and call for a speedy investigation, apprehension, and prosecution of those responsible for this senseless crime. As the Arise News family says goodbye to Somi, we honor her memory by continuing the work she loved and by demanding justice for this tragic loss. Rest in peace, Somi. Your legacy lives on in every broadcast, every story, and every heart you touched. Tributes have been pouring in. The FCT Police Command also described the incident as a cruel and senseless act. The Commissioner of Police, Ajao Adewale, assured the FCT Command remains fully committed to ensuring that justice is served and ordered a discreet and comprehensive investigation into the circumstances surrounding the incident. Well, in one of her last tweets back in August, Somi wrote on X, "I pray from the depth of my heart that Nigeria never happens to me or anyone I care about." Dr. Abati, this tweet has since garnered over 1 million views. When I heard the story yesterday, my heart broke because, like she stated, Nigeria happened to her. I reached out to our correspondent in Abuja, who detailed the circumstances surrounding her death. She jumped down from her home when she heard about 14 armed robbers came to her home. And she did not die on the spot, Dr. Abati. She went to the hospital and she was rejected. And I'll tell you the name of that hospital. If you can continue with your thoughts, I'll bring out the name of that hospital, because this really is a tragic, tragic incident. Sommie's life could have been saved, but the hospital rejected her. Dr. Abati, go ahead. Let me get the hospital.
Okay. This is heartbreaking, as you have said. This is sad. This is horrific. That lives will be lost in a country where there is a government, and where the responsibility of government is to save lives and property. And yet, on a daily basis, we keep hearing these stories about Nigeria happening to persons. If people are not killed due to bandits attacks, insurgents attacks, terrorist attacks, they are killed even by circumstances of just being Nigerian. And that's why repeatedly we have said on this table that Nigeria happens to people. When Nigeria happens to you, we are left sitting here and paying condolences, expressing our regrets, condolences to families, to persons involved. This one has struck home here, and that's why we are all in black, mourning our colleague. It's very sad, it's very unfortunate, but it should be a subtle reminder that the Nigerian government still has a huge task to ensure that every Nigerian can feel safe in this environment. Anybody who comes into this territory called Nigeria can sleep at home. How can somebody be in a home and then armed robbers will go there? We used to say that armed robbery had been eliminated by 419, by petty crimes, by e-fraud, but to see that armed robbers are still actively at work and that Nigeria is returning to the days of Anini and fallen on shore, is a very sad development indeed. And I think that President Tinubu should not just take this seriously. He should say, in this particular case, that the authorities, the agencies, should carry out investigations and ensure justice for Somi. Not because she's one of us, but because every Nigerian life matters.
Yes.
Whether you are a journalist or you are a cleaner, whoever you are, you have the right to the dignity of life, you have the right to life, and it's the job of government to make sure that we are all safe. We are all saddened and we commiserate with the family, but a life of so much promise, of so much hope, a beauty queen robbed of the promise of the future. The story is about Nigeria, and it's an unfortunate story.
She was taken to the Maitama General Hospital.
The story you raised about the hospital.
Yes, it's called the Maitama General Hospital.
Maitama General Hospital. Now, there have been various versions. There are some people who have said, oh, even the security guard died. Why are we just talking about Arise and Co? No, whether it's the security guard or it's Arise family, nobody should die needlessly. Nigeria should not happen to anybody negatively. And then we make the point, we reiterate it, that hospitals, midwives, nurses, doctors, everybody working within that medical space, their primary responsibility is to save lives, beyond even the call of duty. Right. And I think part of the investigation should include the behavior, the attitude, the response of the medical personnel at that Maitama General Hospital. Is there a case of negligence? Could lives have been saved if they responded more professionally? These are questions that should be raised. Number 3, the investigators, the security agencies, should not rule out any option. All of us have said, oh, the initial report we were given is that this was an armed robbery incident. Could there be other reasons behind this matter? Could this be an assassination? Could this be a case of occupational hazard? But we are saddened because there's no remediation. Life is lost. Hope has been destroyed. And we are all here mourning as a family.
Absolutely. Life is lost. Ayo, Ferdinand Duohans, the correspondent I reached out, who's done a beautiful report on Somi as well. He said that, the security guard, which you also mentioned, and alongside Somi were wheeled. They were not in a stretcher. They were wheeled into the hospital, and they weren't given any treatment because of lack of identification. And by the time the person who had the identification came by to the hospital, Somi was already taken to the morgue without any sort of communication.
Very, very heavy morning. It's been difficult for a number of people to even get through their jobs this morning as a result of the very sad story, sad incident that happened in Abuja. This apartment or this block of flats where Somi lived is in Kantampe, which is an affluent area in Abuja, close to Maitama and these areas, and meant to be relatively safe. And as you said, Dr. Abati, what we'd assumed was that the issue of armed robbery, killings like this, are things of the past that we don't see again in the modern Nigeria of today. But now we are seeing resurrection of old things that ought to have passed away, and we see the cost of this in terms of the human life that has been cut short in her prime. Now, talking about the healthcare service, so security failed Somi. Nigeria happened to her, and Barnabas, by the way, who was the security guard, and is said to have a young family and a child. So that's another young person cut off in their prime. They were taken after the armed robbers came. By the way, Ojy, the armed robbers came to this building, block of flats, over 10 of them, numbering 15. It shows that the temerity, that they had the audacity, even though they were not afraid of the police, that 15 of them stormed a block of flats and rained terror for a considerable amount of time, and security officials, the police, did not come at any point during the operation. That speaks a lot to the breakdown of security in the state's capital, in the capital of Nigeria. Then beyond that, the security architecture failed. The healthcare system, which is supposed to be an opportunity for people in an emergency, such as Somi found herself, to receive urgent care. In other climes, in other places where healthcare works, this is where they would be urgently attended to. In the past, we used to have situations whereby if you had a gunshot wound or accident victim, they would ask for certain things because the hospital wanted to indemnify themselves from any police issue. But this has been done away with. There's a law to remove that, so that anyone who was injured by any reason whatsoever would first of all receive care, and other things would follow. The hospital failed Somi in this regard. And I'm calling on the Mandate Secretary for Health and Environmental Science in the FCT, Dr. Dolapo Fashawe, to look into this matter, especially with hospitals. It was on this same table we discussed the hospital in Abuja, who couldn't very well take care of a pregnant woman. So we have incidents like this whereby there's negligence, gross negligence, that costs human life. Somi was a promising star, like you've mentioned. Somi was not just a TV presenter anchor, she was a lawyer. She stood up for the rights of women. We talked about how she was, very instrumental to pushing forward the reserve bill to allow more women in the National Assembly. Somi was also entrepreneurial. If you read, I read one of her interviews yesterday where she talked about the influence her parents had on her, Mr. and Mrs. Maduagwu, who gave her wings to fly and encouraged her to pursue her dreams. Her younger ones, Osi and Divine, her brother and sister, who are now left without their Ada in the person of Somi Maduagwu. It's a very sad situation. No parents, like one of the people who had sent in their condolences, ought to face burying their child. It is sad, and too many parents in Nigeria have had to go through this sad loss because of the failing of government and the incompetencies of what we should have as government infrastructure. So I hope that the legacy, or at least the learning from this death, one too many, would be that we would look into security in Nigeria, we'll look into the health system in Nigeria, and ensure that we do not fail our young ones again.
Rufai.
A very sad day for us, again, especially in the Arise family. It is sad to say in everything we give thanks, because Somi's name, Som Tochukwu, means follow me to praise God. Even if we don't have a reason to give thanks, because we are hurt, our hearts broken, a life cut short. But we thank God for the life of Somi. We thank God that she was able to impact in a short time. We thank God she was able to elevate. We thank God that her star did shine. And we thank God for the life she led. But we also live in a country where, like Thomas Hobbes wrote about in his book, when he was talking about the Leviathan, that it will be a time that society becomes brutish, becomes hellish, and has no respect for life.
And life is short.
And life is short. And that's exactly the society we live. That society Thomas Hobbes described. I mean, how do you take somebody to a hospital and they're being treated. But we would like an investigation into the hospital. Also, we would like FCCPC, the competition watchdog and the consumer advocacy watchdog, to investigate the hospital like you've mentioned. But also we heard that a response call was made to the police and they didn't respond on time. So we also like the investigation to come out there. And apart from the police investigation, we also want an independent investigation to be set up to ask questions. Thirdly, I'll speak to the government now. We appreciate all your condolence messages. We appreciate you standing with us at a time like this. But this shouldn't have happened. And that's what we talk about. And that's why we're constantly at loggerheads with you guys on the other side. Because what we talk about here every time is to better our country. We see our country with so much potential. We know it can be a whole lot better if you guys do a lot better on your side. So this is the time to remind you of the oath you swore to the citizenry. It's not only in the good times, but also in the bad times. Let the death of Somi mark a turning point across many sectors in this country. That's the best way to honor Somi's memory. So that Nigeria will not happen to people again, as Somi prayed fervently. Somi's fervent prayer point was, may Nigeria not happen to me and those that are close to me. In Somi's case, Nigeria happened to Somi, Nigeria happened to Barnabas, and others involved. We're mourning this morning because the Nigeria we want has not happened yet.
All right. Like I said, Somi is from Anambra State. The governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, has expressed profound sadness and deep sense of loss over the heartbreaking news of the tragic death of Somto Chukwu, a distinguished daughter of Anambra State. The governor, on behalf of the government and the entire people of Anambra State, in his statement, extended his most sincere condolences to Somi's parents, siblings, extended family members, friends, colleagues at Arise News Channel, and all who knew and loved her. He also called on the Nigerian police force to conduct a thorough, swift, and transparent investigation into this heinous crime and ensure that the perpetrators are apprehended and brought to justice expeditiously. Somi, you will be missed. May your gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. All right, I just want to take a breath. Can we just observe a moment of silence for Somi? May your soul rest in peace, Somto Chukwu. Now let's take this troubling development out of Kogi State. As a newly called to bar lawyer and her sister have been abducted by gunmen demanding a substantial ransom, Barrister Onyesom Peace Udoka was kidnapped alongside her sister, Gift Onyesom, around Lokoja on Friday, September 26th, just 4 days after her call to bar ceremony in Abuja. The young lawyer, who graduated from Ambrose Ali University and completed her law school training at the Enugu campus, was reportedly traveling from Abuja to Benin City when the incident occurred. Her abductors are said to be demanding 40 million naira for the release of both victims. The Nigerian Bar Association has called on the federal government and security agencies to swiftly secure the release of its member, Onyesom Peace Udoka. The NBA president, Afa Musigwe, described the incident as unacceptable and utterly condemnable, stressing that no family should be forced to endure such trauma. The NBA demanded the immediate and safe return of the victims and urged for a more coordinated and serious effort by the government to tackle the growing insecurity problems plaguing Nigeria highways. Ayo, this abduction adds a disturbing pattern of kidnappings across Nigeria's Middle Belt region especially. This incident exposes the dangerous vulnerability of interstate travelers in Nigeria, particularly along routes connecting Abuja to southern states. This young woman, she's from Ukwane. I got so many messages about her abduction. We have videos trending on social media. This young woman was just celebrated, and now she is in the hands of kidnappers. And the kidnappers are demanding 40 million naira for her release. Nigeria happened to this young woman and her sister again.
Again, so the two stories that we've taken this morning already are an indictment on the security situation in Nigeria. And I think irrespective of the press releases or celebration by the government that they have done a lot when it comes to security, the news coming out from different quarters, whether it be in Abuja, Jos, Lagos here, or whether it be in Delta State, Enugu, all parts of Nigeria, it is an indication that security has failed so far under this administration. And that we've called a state of emergency for a number of things, whether it be food security and the likes. Security is still a big problem. What we are calling for by saying this is let Nigeria not fully happen to our dear Onyesom. We are hoping that, number one, ransom would not have to be paid, and that the Nigerian security operatives would actually do their job and rescue these two young talents. Hail and hearty and back to their parents. And just one final point, kidnapping has become very lucrative.
Yes.
That's why we see it happening, and with audacity, they call out sums that beggars believe. But it's because people are paying, and the Nigerian police just looks and says, if you can pay, pay. But I'm hoping that they will see an end to this, and this government can do what they were elected to do, secure lives and property of Nigerian people.
I've reached out to the Kogi State Police Command on behalf of Udoka, her family, and we're hoping for a speedy response as to, her whereabouts, and I hope that she comes out safe and sound. We'll head over to Kwara State now, where residents of Ojy Okpe and surrounding communities in the state staged a massive protest alleging that a recent surge in deadly attacks and bloodletting was orchestrated with the help of a mysterious helicopter. The protesters claimed that a helicopter repeatedly cycled the area and dropped heavily armed men who subsequently carried out attacks, including lethal ambushes on local vigilante members. The community, some of whom were seen fleeing in viral videos, accused security operatives of both collusion and abandonment, noting that local vigilantes were suspiciously disarmed right before the attacks. A heartbreaking video showed the moment a woman cried out to the governor after her husband was killed.
Ìjọba Kwara àwọn DSS gbébọn fáwọn méjì aláwọn gbàbọn lọ́wọ́ àwọn ọdẹ Yorùbá. Wọ́n ti pọkọ mi o. Ọkọ mi bọ̀ wálé ni o. Ọkọ mi dékèrè ajé wọ́n fọ́ gíláàsì mọ́tò wọn pa àbúrò wọn pa ẹ̀gbọ́n. Wọ́n tún pọkọ àbúrò rẹ̀. State Òkè Ọdẹ la wà. Ọkọ àwọn ọlọ́pàá gùn balẹ̀ kò sí tágbà àwọn ká. Aago méje àárọ̀ náà wá yìí o. Aago méje àárọ̀. Ẹ rí báyìí. Ẹ rí mi báyìí o.
This was so hard to watch. We know that the governor of Kwara State has asked for more military in the state. The residents suggest betrayal from security forces and are demanding an immediate, transparent investigation into the use of aerial insertion tactics by the assailants, the deployment of credible security assets, and the immediate rearming of their legitimate local security outfits. Unfortunately, we don't have much time, but I thought it was important to highlight the story coming out of Kwara State. This young woman lost her husband's brother, and we're seeing people from Kwara State leaving the state. We need more response. We need more security forces in Kwara State.
Let's end this discussion with the insecurity happening in Kwara State. We know that many people in Kwara have been raising alarm the way they've been ambushed by Fulani headsmen, call it bandits, call it terrorism, call it kidnappers, whatever. Many people from Kwara State are being displaced currently. They are leaving their homes, packing their things, and leaving. Very soon, you will now be hearing of IDP camps in Kwara State, just like we have all over the places in Benue State and also in Plateau State. Now, this headline here says, Nigerian Army, DSS, refused to confront terrorists in the bush, said they have inferior weapons. Kwara State community leader is lamenting that the DSS and the Nigerian Army told them that they cannot go after those Fulani headers, those bandits, those kidnappers in the bush, that they have, that their own weapon is more inferior, that the bandits have more superior weapons. So, guys, what we are seeing in Nigeria this day is outrageous. Now, there is this headline here that says Kwara State government refused allegation against Army. DSS insists NFA confronted terrorists. Even today, Showore's Sahara reporters posted a video that Kwara State was circulating an image of an old attack against terrorists. They are saying that the military has gone after those terrorist guys, but it was later discovered that attack on terrorists is an old video. Now, let's take a look at this. This one says, if Jonathan was voted out over Chibok girls, Tinubu should be voted out over genocide against Christians. This is Shehu Sadiq is saying this, that if Jonathan was voted out because of Chibok girls, that Tinubu is supposed to be voted out at all costs because what they've committed under this administration is unbelievable. Now, let's take a look at some reactions from more Nigerians. This person said, their weapon is reserved for nnamdi Kanu who does not carry weapon. People need to know the truth by now. General T.Y. Danjuma said, government is compromised. Government is compromised. And this person said, obviously, they have inferior weapon. Make me wonder how they got their hands on it in the first place. How it is supplied to them until date, they have not been discovered. The wisdom of political shenanigans dressed in terrorism. And this person is a tale of a failed state, a tragedy that will haunt us all for a long time. Nowhere is safe. Patriotism is down. Nigerian situation described in complete assertion of Thomas Hobbes' state of nature because it is now survival of the fittest. It's a horrible situation. This other person said, as they are right, the terrorists have been funded and armed with RPGs and terrific weapons. I suspect China armed them. This person is calling China. I beg, don't call China here because you cannot verify China arming terrorists. No, we cannot say what we are not very sure. Even if China is arming them, the Nigerian government is supposed to stop them. It's really, really so sad. You see what is happening all over the places. Kidnappers everywhere on the road, in the bushes, in Kwara State, Benue, Plateau, all over the places. But guess what? Tinubu is in Imo State. Politics is still driving Tinubu. I'm just wondering why he is there desperate for this second term. You know, this person say, ha ha ha, where is Shetima? Nigerian army are relaxing in Southeast, extorting from the people anyhow. And this person says, some people are mad. What concerns our military with bandits? We equip our military to fight IPOB to ensure there is nothing like Biafra. Full stop. And this other person say, and politicians are busy stealing all the money meant for the purchase of weapons. Nigeria is such a country. Revolution now. This person say, they are cowards on uniform. They can't protect the sovereignty of Nigeria. It's quite disheartening. This other person here said they reserve all their superior weapons for Biafra. And another person here said, but they had weapons to attack Showore and Sunday Bogus. And this person said, but they have a weapon to make sure Biafra will not come to pass. So guys, these are some of the reactions after DSS and the Nigerian military told the people of Kwara that their weapons are inferior to fight the bandits. So guys, you can see that like the DSS boss once told us that Nigerians should defend themselves. I think that is where we are now. Defend yourself if you don't want to buy at the hands of all these people who think leadership is just for you to say Milokon. Now you are on the seat, you don't even know what to do. Like you can see that people are stranded. People don't know where to run to. People don't know who to go to. People don't know how to come out of the mess in which they are in. And still, these people are just there, you know, for themselves. Anyway, guys, I don't know what you make of this. Now, there is a current demolition happening in Lagos. The Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and whatever came out and was showing houses that are going to be destroyed, demolished, and they went ahead to start demolishing them. These are newly built houses. So guys, I'm just wondering how Igbo people are going to survive, and nobody's even thinking of, you need to see the houses that are recently we talked about the one in Trade Fair. That one is even a small thing. You need to see these houses that are currently being demolished in Okota area in Lagos State. So guys, I don't know who will give Ndibo seaport or airport. Who will give it to Ndibo so that people can go home? I mean, to invest. You cannot buy a house and the next moment it is being destroyed. I mean, this person say how to buy a house in Lagos the right way. Due diligence or don't be say. Oh my God. Anyway, let me take you through some of the reactions because these houses that are being destroyed now, you need to see these houses, you know. This person said the fact that the whole estate was constructed in plain sight of the government shows that the government failed in its responsibility, which is always be at level 0. The subscribers also share the blame, but the government is to be blamed more here. And this person, I agree, government failed in its duty to monitor. So the government will not monitor, they will allow you to build, they will come and destroy. You can't mix up the government's responsibility with due diligence by a buyer. It is the government's job to ensure houses are not built without approval in the first place. The failure is not transferable to the buyer. And this person said the failure is transferable. If a simple due diligence was done, they wouldn't have entered the mess. Hey, God, people's money in these hard times. I'm just wondering how many families will be left to suffer this pain that might even lead to the loss of lives. This person say in a sane country, if the government agencies did not stop the building while it was going on, they will fully compensate the owners before they can demolish the property. You see, no, you cannot build something on nothing and expect it to stand. So guys, the level of demolition currently going on in Lagos State is something people are raising alarm. I don't know what your take is. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.